My name is Osterman. I'm the general manager for the Netscaler business in Citrix, and very, very pleased to be here today and talk to you about new simplicity and moving towards new simplicity. Really how you can do an evolution and virtualize your data centers. The world that we live in today has a lot of changes. You see globalization going on. You have disruption, consolidation, regulatory requirements, and workforce evolution. The other key thing that's going on is a financial crisis. So we all feel that in our daily work now, and it's become a major change in most countries. If you look at the global economies, here's an overview of all the various economies, the size of the economies. And clearly in the US, many of the European economies are really hard hit in the current setup. What's going on in the US is that we just print more money to cover the deficit. So as the trade balance is negative, the budget deficit is there, more money is printed. And what's really going on is good old Washington is getting really worried what's going on with the economy. The situation for most enterprise organization is that 80% of the cost is fixed. Only 20% is variable, and you can implement new projects with that. So what's happening is innovation is very incremental, and agility is non-existent. All of your money is tied up in existing projects. You can't launch a lot of new projects. Virtualization is key to driving a change in how you spend your budget. But let's look at what is the role of virtualization in this whole setup. So on the high, if you look at high and low, you have total cost of ownership is very high, your agility is very low. And you're dealing with a lot of complexity, and where you really want to move to is much more simplicity. You have different layers: hardware, server workload, application, desktops, network, and identity. And each one of these layers operate in silos where you invest money, you write it off over 5 years, and then you move on to the next technology. What virtualization is about is putting an abstraction layer between these things and making these things flexible. And as such, you can reverse these two things. So you actually end up having simplicity, you have agility in your infrastructure, and you lower your total cost of ownership to a whole different level. And every point of separation lowers cost and increases agility. Look at this set of applications you have today, whether it's SAP, ERP system, Oracle, or a customer relationship management system, or business intelligence. Those systems are complex, not very intuitive for the users, but yet they have to deal with that. On the other hand, when we go home and we use Google, Amazon, iTunes, or whatever social networking services we use, it's simple, it's intuitive. You don't have to sit down for a week and take a course on how to use Google or Amazon or iTunes. Those are new Web 2.0 architectures that are big on the back end, complex on the back end, but for the end user, it's very simple. It's simple to use, very intuitive. And that's really where we want to go with IT. So let's make an analogy here. So let's talk about delivery. There's a satellite company that's delivering TV in the US called DirecTV. So let's use them as an example. They don't really care about whether you have a Samsung TV, whether you have another TV. They don't care what you watch. They have a predictable cost model, and they have on-demand service anywhere. On the back end, behind the controllers, you have content that they're delivering. It could be BBC, Showtime, Sky News, pay-per-view, the local news. And then at the other end, at the receiver end, you have your local TV with all your Xbox or DVDs or whatever you have. You use Apple TV. So that's a delivery system where none of us think about all the complexity that's going into that because it's intuitive, it's simple. If you now transfer that analogy to our world and say we have data centers, we have controllers in front of the data center, and then we have receivers at the desktop level. In between there, we have a delivery network. We have gateways that take care of security, SSL, VPN. We have repeaters that might be WAN optimization at the branch level, could be optimization at if you're working from home as well. Clients, desktops, applications, networks, and servers is what you want to virtualize. Citrix thinks of delivering IT this way. So we have Send Server that virtualizes your server infrastructure, Netscaler that virtualizes and optimizes your web application infrastructure, Send App, app virtualization for Windows, and then Send Desktop, that's Windows Desktop virtualization. And then we have a product called Workflow Studio that automates and orchestrates on top of all this. With this, you centralize, you virtualize, and you optimize your infrastructure. The other area I want you to take a look at is desktops. Desktops, the same desktop, you have different devices you're using throughout the day, mobile device when you're on the road. Why should you not get access to the exact same information when you are on a mobile phone versus on your laptop? So what most people do today is they refresh desktops, they install applications. What we are saying is rethink desktop computing. Stop going through the normal 8 processes on how you implement and maintain backup data, and then push it out to the desktops. What we are saying is you should look at desktop should equal a device, an operating system, applications, all in one go. So what you want to do is centralize single instant images of the user profile, the application, and the desktop OS. And then just like with the satellite TV I talked about before, where you as a user say what services you want to pay for, you do the same on your desktop. You say, well, I want these applications, I want these services. And you can subscribe and unsubscribe to these things automatically. And you won't have to push a big desktop image out to the end user. And it's flexible and available whether you're on a laptop, on a mobile device, etc. With this, you enable a virtual workforce, you increase user productivity, and you reduce desktop TCO by 40%. So what we're saying is there should be one copy of each application, one copy of Windows, one copy of each workload, one password for each user, and one instance of data. No more copying data from between devices, etc. Build once and leverage infinitely is what we urge. Leonardo da Vinci said simplicity is the ultimate sophistication, and I truly agree with him. So what we say at Citrix is dare to simplify. Thank you very much for your attention.